All right, thank you for being here today. So, as you've heard me say before, the first business of municipal government is public safety. We can't possibly get anything else right, whether it's job creation, school improvement, neighborhood quality, right, any of those things right, if our city isn't in fact safe or perceived to be safe. And so the job of keeping our city safe falls primarily on, though not exclusively, on our police department. So our police department's got to work really well. And luckily here in New Bedford for some period of time, our department has worked very well. Again, you've heard me say this before. As a former federal prosecutor that worked with police departments all around the United States, law enforcement agencies at every level, I can tell a good department from a bad one. And in federal law enforcement circles, the New Bedford Police Department historically stood out as a terrific department. And it's because of the high standards of professionalism and really good leadership. And that's what we had here in my first 4 years in office under the leadership of David Preventure. As you all know, Chief Preventure passed away unexpectedly in December, and certainly left a void in the department and in the community. The good news is that his legacy is a significant one. He really built a solid foundation. And our job now is to build on that very solid foundation. The process of selecting the chief was a rigorous one. We went about, I made a determination that the process should be focused internally in the department, in the ranks of the existing mid-level and senior management in the department, because I felt very strongly that although we do very comprehensive searches usually for department heads, the police department's a little bit different. Effective policing, especially these days, requires a knowledge and familiarity and a sensitivity of and about the community that makes it different from other lines of work. And effective police chiefs are not only those who are technically skilled, but also ones that have a feel for the community, have a feel for how their efforts play out in the most intimate ways in neighborhoods. And so I believe that we had a deep enough talent pool to select not just a good chief, but a great chief from. And that process has worked. And I want to thank the screening committee that we put into place to make sure that our process worked well. We had a screening committee of a number of individuals who each of whom knows New Bedford, but knows New Bedford from different angles, ranging from retired senior leaders in the department to leaders in the community to a retired FBI agent to City Councilor Brian Gomes. And they came up, they did a great job screening candidates and recommended finalists to me. I want to thank Acting Chief David Lazat, who I think is en route. He was at a funeral this morning for a long time employee, beloved employee of the police department, and he is on his way, but I don't want to delay in really emphasizing my gratitude about the work that he's done under very difficult circumstances in the last few months to keep everything going in the department. It has not been easy, and he has pulled it off, and I have a lot of confidence that he could do it, and he's done it very well. So as I said, the process in selecting someone who has the potential to be an excellent chief has worked very well. And I'm pleased to announce today that the person that is going to lead this department into the future is none other than Captain Joseph Cordeiro, who has been in charge of Division 1, the downtown station, for the last several years. He's a 30-year member of the department, although actually I looked at your resume, Joe. I think it's 30 years in a couple of weeks, right? Yeah, so it's close to just about 30 years. But Joe has demonstrated effective leadership up and down the department over many, many years, and in a variety of capacities. He's been in charge of just about everything in the department at some point in time, as a downtown division commander, as commander of things ranging from animal control to traffic to narcotics to organized crime and everything in between. He's done it. He has a breadth and depth of experience that set him up very well to be to have the knowledge base and the technical base to be a good chief. He's managed large events that we all are familiar with. The Charles W. Morgan visit went off without a hitch. That's not easy. He was able to do that very well as the last 9 New Bedford half marathons with organizing and managing a contingent of 120 officers. Really tough stuff to pull off, and from where I sit as mayor, it's great to know that I could just the department, the mayor, could hand him a task like that, and it would happen without incident, without a worry, without anybody doing anything but having fun. Joe has managed budgets. He knows how to run investigations. He's a graduate of the Senior Management Institute, which is a police officer training institute that not everybody gets to go to. It's actually a very effective training ground for future police chiefs, and it's something that has become sort of a rite of passage for police chiefs nationally. Joe's been extraordinarily effective in ways beyond his technical acumen, though. He has developed relationships throughout the community, both within the department, outside the department, in other law enforcement circles, but as someone who has really been able to do both the hard stuff in the job, the technical stuff, developing his skills, but also in developing relationships. Both have to be there in order to be an effective chief. He's done it. He's ready. Joe is born and bred in New Bedford, and he is a graduate of Western New England College, has both a master's and a bachelor's degree from there, and he is a graduate of Holy Family, the cult of Holy Family High School. They are thick as thieves, that all of them who speak as the son of 2 Holy Family graduates. It's like one big family. There are other things at a higher level that have always impressed me about Joe. So one is Joe's command presence. Joe's squared away. In the military speak, Joe is squared away. He is task-oriented, and he gets stuff done. He is a big picture thinker, which is critical these days in police departments. You have to think beyond the 4 walls of the station. You have to think beyond the community. You have to think about the place of the community in the broader sense, not just in law enforcement terms. He does that. He holds himself to high professional standards. Joe, from time to time, a senior manager in a police department has to confront the fact that you at times have to discipline people who you know well, who may be friends, and who are who may have violated rules. Joe is capable of doing that. That's a hard thing to do, but effective police departments are ones where that happens, and happens fairly but with consistency. Joe knows how to build relationships. He's a consensus builder. He knows that police departments are only effective if their work engenders trust in the community. It is at the bottom of their work these days, especially given that where police departments are in the United States, not here but elsewhere, where there is endemic distrust, where police officers are being second-guessed for a variety of reasons, in places where violence has erupted both as a result of police action as well as inaction. It hasn't happened here because there is trust in the community, and this is Joe's forte. He devotes considerable energy in his practice to building relationships with folks, again, in the department, but outside the department, but also look somebody in the eye, and and for those of you who've worked with Joe know this, and understand that Joe's efforts are really to get on the level with others, to build teams, to build confidence that that everybody's in it for the same reasons. The other thing I will say about Joe that is an absolute must in this job is a passion for New Bedford. Joe lives and breathes the city, and Joe cares to his very core that this city succeed. We were talking earlier about how to be an effective leader, you really have to get up in the morning and get after it, and that's what Joe does. Joe wants to see this city succeed and move ahead in every respect, and understands that the role of the police department is central to all of it. Well, I will say one other thing. He is, in general, if I were to sum up, Joe is as well prepared for this position as anybody in recent memory, certainly in my lifetime, and he is not only ready for it, but he has the capacity to grow personally and professionally into something even bigger and better. He also recognizes good leadership when he sees it. And Joe, after I offered him the position, recommended to me that I appoint Paul Oliveira to my left, Captain Paul Oliveira, to be the deputy chief of the department. Now, Paul, like Joe, has really excelled in so many positions across the department. He's in charge of professional standards, which is called internal affairs, and many other places, and he's really set a standard for a high level of professionalism in the maintaining fairness and consistency professional standards in the department. Again, something that is slipping in police departments all around the United States, but not here. Paul is widely regarded as a first-rate investigator, both in terms of narcotics cases and violent crime cases and other. Paul and I worked together. When I was an assistant U.S. attorney, Paul brought me cases, gun and drug cases, as well as some more sophisticated business crime cases. And I can tell you from firsthand experience that he's an exceptional investigator and has tremendous judgment. And I think if there's one word that comes to my mind with Paul Oliveira, it's exceptional judgment. Really great judgment that will be a great complement to all the tools that Chief Cordeiro has. So we have in New Bedford a very strong foundation in place, and it's gotten the great support of lots of folks in the community. Hank Turgeon, the head of the police union, is here. I want to thank Hank for all of his support during the police chief search. I want to recognize the support of the city council as well. City council president Linda Morad is here. Ward 4 councilor Dana Ribeiro, councilor at large Ian Abreu, Ward 5 councilor Kerry Winterson, and Ward 1 councilor Jim Oliveira. Thank you all for your support, for being here today. Fire Chief Michael Gomes as well. Thank you all for your support here today. I get now to introduce somebody that I think will make a very good department into one of the best departments in the United States. And I'm really excited about the work ahead. The work ahead for him and his team is weighty. It is complicated, but he's up to the task. So for the first time, I'd like to introduce to the public Chief Joe Cordeiro.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor. I got to tell you, I've been blessed through my life, and I got to thank God for all the blessings, and especially today. But I first want to start out thanking Mayor Mitchell for an incredible opportunity here. I know there's some challenges ahead, but I look forward to them, and I agree when he says that this is the best police department, not only in the area, but probably nationally. We have some of the best people, and I feel the responsibility that comes with this. And I'm ready for it, and I do not take it lightly. I accept it, and I promise to you, Mayor, and the community, and my fellow brother and sister officers that I will use all the skills that I've honed over the last 30 years and experiences to ensure our department continues to move forward. It's a great department. and keep our community safe as we progress through. I just wrote myself a few notes because else I may be a little long-winded. It's been an incredible process. It's been a humbling process for me. The amount of support that I've been personally receiving out there has just been overwhelming. My family, my friends, members of the community, merchants, community leaders, the city councilors, Councilor Morad, Dana Ribeiro, Alvera, Winterson, and the other councilors are not here today. Their support, some have given letters, and I see you in the streets, your words, and it's been overwhelming. And to have a successful police department, you need support. You need support from your community, your government leaders, the mayor, the city councilors. So we already have a recipe for success. So I ask the community as we go forward to please continue that support for myself, Deputy Chief Oliveira, and my fellow brothers and sisters on the police department, because we're going to need that support. And if we're going to continue to move the city forward and keep it safe, it's going to require that. Friday was a very significant date for me and my family. It was 50 years ago that my parents, my sister, my brother moved here from small island, the Azores, St. Michael. And I bring that up because we would never guess 50 years ago that a kid from a small little village would be standing in a great city in New Bedford with the mayor introducing him as chief of police. And I say that because this city is filled with opportunities. And we're only limited by our dreams. And this city's been so good to me and my family. And that's why I love the city, I love the people. And I have a passion for it, to give back and to do great things here. So it's a city filled with diversity, and some people might think that's a weakness. I see that as a strength. We're not a city of just tolerance. We're a city that accepts one another. And it's that what continues to move us forward. We're a city filled with history. Throughout the years, we've been significant in the region, nationally, and worldwide. When we were the richest city in the world, back during our whaling heydays, and we were a significant role player in the Underground Railroad. When the textile industry was booming, it was our people that were feeling, people that lived in New Bedford, our residents, everybody here going to those factories and kept us booming. And it's still the people today. It's that spirit that we have here that I'm proud of. I think we all are. That's going to continue to make this city a leader, that we can face any challenges that Deputy Chief Oliver and myself are going to face. And there will be some, but together we will be able to do that. We're set. As the mayor said, we're in a ripe environment to continue to move forward, not only as a department, but as a community. And I care deeply for the city. I care deeply for my brother and sister officers, and I know as the Deputy Chief Oliveira does. And what we plan to do is we want to create a organizational cultural shift within the department, minuscule, because we do not need to invent a new blueprint, because we have a great foundation, we have great people and a great department. We want to continue with holding ourselves accountable externally to the public and internally in the department for our actions. I think that's important. We want to continue to focus on building the relationships and be responsive to the public's needs as well as the needs of our staff internally. And I want to tell you that it's important. Education and training for us is important, not only internally but externally as well. It's important that we educate and communicate to the public what we're doing and why we're doing, that we continue to operate in the blanket of transparency. That's the only way our relationships can continue to grow, so that we can ensure our community stays safe, strong, and secure in our streets, our homes, our schools, that we keep the people that are most important to us, our family, our friends, our children, safe and secure as we move along. One thing that we do plan on doing, both the deputy and I, is to continue to foster and grow the community policing philosophy throughout the entire department. These are not just words. It's going to start with both of us, and it's going to trickle down through our command staff and our rank structure and our police officers with the boots hitting the streets. So when they're out there doing proactive patrol, we don't want them just focusing on crime. We want them to own those neighborhoods, whether it's a quality of life issue, and act as a conduit, if you will, in calling other city departments or agencies to try to rectify the problem. So our neighborhoods are not only safe, but they look good, and they feel good to go home, and everybody's happy and proud to be there. When we all take that ownership, from the chief on down, and I think we start to make more progress, and we'll continue to grow in the right direction. It's unity through community that will get us there, and we do have that here, but we can continue to build that, because together there's nothing that we cannot solve. There's no challenges that we cannot overcome. we can continue to make the city the great city that it is, only greater, and be a beacon for other towns and cities to follow. We can be the model because we have the people and the spirit here to do it. Yesterday kicked off the National Law Enforcement Week, and I want to bring that up because it's a special time for our industry because we've lost a lot of people. It's a good time to recognize them, but I also want to recognize, in the last 30 years when I started this job, it was a very difficult job, and it's only got a little bit more challenges, to say the least. But I've had the opportunity, and I know Deputy Chief Oliveira has as well, to work with some of the best. Some are retired, some unfortunately have left us, and many are still here. I want to give my message to my brother and sister officers, and I know Officer Turgeon is here, our union president, that I understand your challenges. I understand your burdens. I understand what it's like to leave home and not know what kind of day you're going to have. And if you're going to have to put your life in jeopardy for someone you don't know or someone that's trying to do harm. I understand it. I get it. I feel your burden. I feel it beyond the utility belt that you're carrying. At the end of the day, when you go home, I understand you're still carrying things with you. We both do. And I want to let you know that we're here to support you. We're here to help you because we're going to get through whatever's coming together. They do a great job. Our officers do an incredible job every single day. I appreciate your work. I appreciate your efforts. And I hope to be alongside with you, working. Deputy Chief Oliveira and myself, our management style that we plan on doing over the next few months and through our tenure here is we plan on reaching out to our community. We want to meet as many people in our community as we can, from residents, citizens, community leaders. We want to be inclusive. We want to hear what your concerns are. We want to hear what your ideas are, because sometimes the best ideas don't come from inside. They can come from outside. And we plan on doing the same thing internally. We plan on having as many discussions as we can with our command staff, our rank structure, and the police officers, where the boots are hitting the road, the rubber meets the road, so to speak. We want to know what your concerns are and what suggestions you have. We're going to be an inclusive management model and leadership style, not exclusive. There's no sense in doing that. We're not going to be able to move forward if we're not doing it together. When you drive through the city, we have 3 uniformed police stations, and we have 1 at headquarters, and you'll see the police sign there. And I want to tell you, that's our home. That's where our family is. And that's where we spend most of our time away from home. But I want to extend that to you because that is as much as our home as it is your home. I want you to feel welcome coming into the police stations, because at the end of the day, and as we continue to evolve and proceed, I would like to see a community where the community looks at the police department and looks at the officers as those are members of the community, not as police officers. And the officers look at the community and see themselves as members of the community. The only difference that will be discernibly visible is our uniforms. Because when we get to that point, then it is us. It's us working together. Your problems are our problems, and our problems are your problems. Our police officers, like I said, they do a great job, and I just want to add a last little bit here. I know I'm going a little long-winded, and I apologize for that, but it gets lost in transition that we are human beings. Our officers, we wear this uniform, and we get up and go to work, but at the end of the day, we're moms, we're dads, we're brothers, we're sisters, we're aunts, we're uncles, we're coaches, we're all that. And we have our own personal challenges, sometimes at home or whatever it may be. I just ask you to recognize we are human beings, and we do make mistakes sometimes. But when you see us out there standing on the road or having a cup of coffee, I know I've appreciated it, and I know our officers would appreciate it. And words of support are very much welcome. And I think it goes a long way for us to see each other as each other. So the last piece I'd just like to close up real quickly is, I do look forward to working closely with Deputy Chief Paul Oliveira. I see us as partnership, as a team, working with a larger team, internally and externally. I work forward to working with Mayor Mitchell and, his staff, government leaders within the City Council. I support you. I really appreciate all your support, and I look forward to working with you. And I know both of us are looking forward to getting sworn in, rolling up our sleeves, and getting to work and getting to the business that needs to get done. And that's to continue to keep our city safe and secure and peaceful. So thank you very much. Hopefully that wasn't too long-winded.
Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, questions? Go ahead, Mike.
So when is the swearing-in ceremony?
So we'll have a swearing in on Thursday. We want to arrange these things so that family members can come, and we'll do it officially then. So it'll be later this week.
Chief, you talked about bridging the divide between the police department and the community. Do you sense that there's a lot of distrust of police officers in New Bedford?
No, I don't believe we have a large divide. I think that's one of our strongholds here in the city of New Bedford. We have incredible relationships with the community. But I look forward to fostering, and with Deputy Chief Oliveira, to fostering that and making it only stronger. And that's where we're much different than many other communities. So I do not see that, but I look forward to continue to build it.
Chief, congratulations, first of all.
Thank you so much.
You know, you and I have talked many times, but I haven't heard emotion like I heard in your voice today. Why so emotional? Why is it personal?
I love the city. That's about as simple as it gets it, and this is it's a big deal. It's a big deal for me. I think it's a big deal for the city as well.
You talked about your roots sort of in the Azores, family roots in the Azores coming to now. Can you expand on that a little bit? You and your family come a long way?
We have, and the city has been incredibly good to all of us, my siblings included. And that's probably why I do love this city so much. I've been here 52 years of my life. I spend a lot of time here, both in a professional capacity, but I volunteer here a lot because I believe in it. And it's been so good to us that it only feels natural that we should be giving back. And I want to be that person that's giving back. I do care. And that's probably why some of that emotion that's coming through. It's been a long process. And because of there's been so much support from the community, it's been overwhelming for me, and it's really humbled me.
What are, I know this is a broad question, but what are the biggest problems that you face in New Bedford, and how are you going to try to address them?
Well, I think over the next few weeks, we have a transition that we need to go through, both myself and Deputy Chief Oliveira. So it's getting into that transition and then reaching out into the community and within the department so we can really hear. It's best for us to really listen to what people perceive as the big problems, more importantly, what I perceive as the big problems.
What do you perceive as the big problems, though?
Well, I mean, I don't think we have big problems, as people would like to say. I really don't see that here in New Bedford. We have a great city with great people. It's not utopia. I wish it could be, but we're certainly going to strive to head that way. And once we start to speak to people and listen to them, and the community side and internally, then we'll identify and start to triage what those big problems are.
Do you have any idea on how you're going to, with your department, address the opioid problem here in New Bedford? What kind of tactic, what's your feeling on how we can best address that?
Well, you know, it's like a lot of the issues that we're trying to get me to lock in on is I have a lot of opinions on it. But I'm really interested to hear what other people's opinions are on how we're going to resolve that. That issue is not exclusive to the city of New Bedford. It's a national problem. And it's a problem that needs to be addressed not only nationally, but regionally. But I have a feeling, I'll tell you this, that I will not be surprised if the city of New Bedford will not be leading that charge and coming with some type of model that begins to address and come to some successful resolution.
Thursday comes quick. Do you have a replacement name for the downtown chief?
If you're looking at me, that's his call, and according to all the civil service rules, so there will probably be somebody acting in your place. Right?
Sure. I think we'll be going through this transition. We have an incredible staff down here, which I got to tell you, I love all those officers that work down here. I love everybody. I've been working so close to them. I'm going to miss them, to be honest with you, seeing them every day. But having said that, we have an adequate command staff here that can take over while we wait to go through the civil service process of promoting a captain to replace me down here. But my understanding, the folks that are coming up are more than adequate, very fast. One thing we do have here in the police department, we have a very high concentrated talent pool of professionals, dedicated professionals. So I think it'll be a seamless transition down here. We won't see a whole lot of difference in philosophy, and hopefully we'll be able to spread the philosophy we've had down here citywide.
Mr. Mayor, what was different about Joe compared to the other candidates?
Well, I don't want to draw comparisons with other candidates, but I will talk about Joe. Joe,
What stood out about him?
there's lots of stuff. The depth and breadth of his experience. I mean, he's been a leader in virtually every command in the department over his 30-year career. So he's got experience, and experience matters. But you know, there are lots of people out there who have experience, and it's a lot, but it's not everything. Joe has a motor. He's got drive. He wants, and for all the right reasons. He truly does want to see our city improve. And he recognizes that we do have a really solid department right now. And people need to understand, at a time when there are police departments that are struggling right now with credibility issues around the United States, that isn't the case in New Bedford for lots of reasons. And so, you know, we have a guy who is going to elevate those professional standards, to attack the problems that our city faces from a public safety standpoint, and doing it in a way that engenders more trust. I mean, Joe's got great relationships outside of the department and inside of the department, and he knows what he's doing. He says, you can tell from his remarks, I mean, he cares an awful lot about the city, but he also has a command presence that works very well and is absolutely necessary in any leadership capacity. Anybody else?
You touched on this a little bit earlier.
You're over your quota, Adam.
So I have to ask because that's my job. You touched on this a little bit earlier, but if you had made this an external search,
Yeah,
you would have got some really good candidates.
maybe.
I mean, this is a job that it's a high leadership position, high pay, high profile. So why not?
The mayor's a nice guy, right?
Right.
That too.
Right, but not a knock on Joe's credentials at all. Why not? Why was it internal?
Yeah, I think so. You know, as I was getting at earlier, I think for police chief searches, I think the presumption should be toward an internal search, and not to go internally if there isn't a qualified set of people who could step into the position, more than one. And I say that because of the nature of policing these days requires a familiarity with the community that other functions in city government don't necessarily require. I mean, you can switch in and switch out folks from the outside and say a planning department, just to take an example, or a library, but because policing these days is geared so much around, not so much, you know, locking up the bad guys and throwing away the key, but keeping things safe, but also making people feel confidence in government and feel confidence that, you know, their concerns are being met. That it requires that sort of the level of nuance that can only come with experience in the community. Go ahead, Mike.
I wonder if Chief Cordeiro could comment on the late chief, David Prevention, what you took from his leadership style and how that might affect your actions and your role as chief.
Absolutely. I think the mayor spoke to this as well. He positioned the department in a very good position. Otherwise, this would be much more difficult. So he set us up to be in a good spot. So there's some big shoes there to fill for sure. But I think if I had to comment on just one, was his ability to just really listen. To listen to folks and listen what they have to say before, you know, he would come to a decision in terms of changing a philosophy or a tactic or a strategy. So if I had to narrow on one, and there's many, as everyone here knows, he was here for a long time, some big shoes, but if I had to name one that I would absolutely like to adopt was, and I intend to, is the ability just to listen to people, what they have to say, and digest it, and then make a decision.
Anyone else? All right, thank you very much, everybody.